What happens when an unpopular president, who also happens to be 80 years old and is in the middle of it and is in his second term, gives his first State of the Union address of that term as he's facing a crushing, potentially midterm election? How bad can the ratings possibly be? How low can they go? Well, we're about to find out because the first wave of numbers are in. I'm Jason Easley. Hi, I'm Jason. Welcome back to the live. Thank you for joining this live. Let's get right into it. Everyone, I think, expected Trump's State of the Union numbers to be not great, maybe potentially bad. The interesting thing is, as we're about to see in these numbers, how bad they were across the board. I thought that Fox News would be able to sustain their usual heavy Trump audience with these State of the Union numbers. I thought conservative media would do fairly well. I thought CNN and MSNBC would struggle, as they always do with events like this, where most of the audience that are interested, and let's be fair, before we get into the numbers, traditionally, State of the Unions draw people that support the president. They don't draw general, casual political viewership. They draw people that are pretty much partisan. That audience pretty heavily skews Republican in this case, or Democratic when there's a Democratic president. So that's the way it goes. That's the lay of the land. But I think it's really interesting what these numbers can tell us about where things might be heading for the midterm election. So I'm going to read you off. This is the early data. The final data isn't going to be here till later today, but this paints a pretty clear picture. Here we go. The early data from Trump's Tuesday speech: Fox News topped all networks and total viewers, drawing 9.1 million. ABC was the top broadcaster with 5.1 million viewers. Again, none of that. This is the sixth year in a row ABC's been the top network broadcaster, so this isn't really surprising. Other networks included NBC News at 3.6 million, CBS at 3.3, MS Now at 2.4, CNN at 2.2, Fox at broadcasting at 2.1, and Fox Business at 269,000 viewers. All of those breakdown of viewers by network, that's all a decrease, as we're going to see, from last year. In fact, the overall audience is down pretty severely from last year. As we're going to pull up the full numbers, the situation is good. It's not good at all. I mean, no one expected him to be up, but he drew right around 28 million total viewers across 8 networks. Last year, for his joint session of Congress that was not a State of the Union, Trump drew 32 million viewers, 4 million viewer drop off. Pretty big deal. Now, those are the numbers. We just ran through them. Fox was tops at 9.1 million viewers. ABC was top broadcaster at 5.1. NBC News at 3.6, CBS at 3.3, MS Now at 2.4 million, CNN at 2.2 million, Fox Broadcasting with 2.1. Okay, that's the network by network breakdown. Again, not surprising at all that a substantial amount of the audience, and I mean this is pretty serious because we're getting close to the point where more than a third of the audience, and we're pushing closer to half, came from Fox News. That just goes to show how heavily intertwined Trump's presidency is with Fox and how he is only viewed as governing for Fox News. Okay, let's go a little deeper. Now let's compare this stuff to last year, I believe, is what we have coming up next. I will show you. In the 25 to 54 demo, Fox drew 1.47 million, ABC News 1.2, NBC News 1 million, CBS 850,000, MSNBC 323,000, CNN 655,000, Fox Broadcasting with 560, and Fox Business at 73,000. So this doesn't tell us anything very insightful other than the State of the Union is one of those relics that tends to draw older viewership, just like the political convention. Younger people really aren't interested or invested in the State of the Union. And it's pretty regularly been the case for a long time now. And that doesn't really tell us. The audience usually skews older, and they also skew more partisan toward the president's party. Last set of numbers. Last year, when Trump did his joint address to Congress, 10.7 million viewers for Fox News last year. Remember, 10.7, 9.1. Fox News lost millions of viewers. That's Trump's base. That's his core of support. And you're talking about, a 10% drop off, more than a 10% drop off from last year to this year. And that's a very discouraging sign if you're a Republican. But let's go through these other networks and we'll double back to what this means. ABC News 6.33 million, CBS 4 million, NBC News 3.9 million. I believe the network broadcasters might have been up a tick. NBC News 300,000 million. Fox Broadcasting was, let's see here. Let's see what Fox did. Oh, I can't get it to go. Where is it? It's not rolling. It's not playing. Fox Broadcasting. I'll just scroll down and read it to you. Ooh, if it'll let me. Here we are. Okay. This is being a little clever with me. Fox Broadcasting, 506,000, and Fox Business was 73,000. So the Fox Business audience, I just read the demo. 2025, next paragraph. Fox Business, 245,000. That stayed pretty much flat. MSNBC's audience, Fox Broadcasting, 2.65 million in 2025. That went down. Interestingly, CNN was up by about 300,000 viewers from 1.93 million to this year's 2.2. And MSNBC was up almost 500,000 viewers, or MS Now currently was MSNBC, 1.92 million to 2.4 million. So the numbers grew among Trump's opposition watching the speech, but they declined with his base. And that's something I think we really need to spend a minute discussing, because that does tell us something. That tells us the people that are most engaged right now, and this is backed up by early midterm election polling. This is backed up by the early vote advantage the Democrats are putting up in Texas in their primary versus the Republican Senate primary. Democrats have the enthusiasm here. Democrats are much more motivated to vote. This is not unusual because parties that are out of power, especially after they just lost an election less than 2 years ago, normally are highly motivated to get that power back. Now, in the case of what's happened with this Congress and Donald Trump, I think it's even worse. I think that there's so much visceral negative reaction to the way the economy's going, to Trump's immigration policies, to Trump's tariffs. You could just run down the list of unpopular issues with this administration. I think all of those things are motivating Democrats to show up and vote. I see we got a comment here. Let's put our comment up on the screen. He spoke too long. We'll put it up. He spoke too long. Fox News was bragging it was record-breaking, which meant that he broke his own record of talking for too long, Bridge says. Bridge is right. When the best thing you can say about his speech is, wow, that was really long. That is not a good review and a good outcome that you want to see. And I would just say it again. Remember back when Bill Clinton was term president, and they absolutely freaked out, the media did, because his speech went 45-ish minutes. I mean, we've gone from, oh my God, the president spoke for 45 minutes to the State of the Union, to, oh my God, he spoke for an hour and 45 minutes. He spoke from 9:15 to 11 p.m. He showed up late. He was even late, and he spoke till 11 p.m. Now, this is part of old man Trump's intentional strategy, because Trump thinks that people still watch the 11 o'clock news. and that's a big key part of the media diet. So he wants to make sure that he's on camera in the top story at 11 p.m. when people are tuning into for the local weather before they go to bed and get up for work the next morning. That's his thinking, and that's why he made sure to speak to exactly 11. We got another one. This is what the media deserves. Their cash cow is failing them. Yes, remember, the media thought by supporting Trump and pushing him back into office in 2024 that they were going to get all these ratings and all this revenue. And Trump was going to create all this drama and panic and chaos in the people. And everybody was going to be tuned in to every word they had to say about Donald Trump. And Trump's own words. The truth is, America is already treating Trump like he is a lame duck. America is treating Trump like an inconvenience and like something they just have to have off in the corner and put up with for right now. They're not treating him like he is a vital part of their lives and a vital part of the news. And the big thing to come away from this State of the Union is how much they are, the country in general. Remember, this is a country of almost 350 million people. And 28 million people watched it on television. Now, the streaming numbers, when they come out, they're going to add a bit to this. But just as somebody who is working online and watching the speech online, there was no trouble getting a feed. There was no backup. There was no flood of audience. And I think you could say the same thing about the counter-programming by the left on this. That didn't do as well as many people on the left were hoping. And part of that's because so many people on the left held their own events and they kind of cannibalized and divided their own audience. And that wasn't really probably the smartest idea. They really needed to agree on one event and put out a unified message instead of doing what they thought they were going to do. Oh, here we have a comment here. John Murphy says, why don't you just wear your Antifa uniform when you're doing your podcast? Okay, well, hi, John. Thanks for watching. Well, let me tell you something, John. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm nonpartisan here. I'm sorry that you find the facts so offensive. That's the reality. I'm trying to describe a landscape as a political scientist. Now, if the numbers had been the opposite, if let's say 40 million people had watched, let's just say 40 million, and they were heavily Republican and they were extremely excited, and Fox News viewership was way up and conservative media viewership was way up for the speech, I would be suggesting that maybe the talk of a big Democratic victory in the midterm might be a little overstated, and that people shouldn't be putting the cart before the horse if they're thinking that way. Because, obviously there's a whole lot of people interested in Donald Trump and they're motivated to go out and listen to him and vote for Republicans. There are some studies that show that this kind of engagement with media and how people engage and what they're engaging with, there is some circumstantial evidence that does matter, that it does. It's not a direct correlation, but it is a reflection not of who's going to win the election, but of engagement and who's more likely to engage. And if we're looking at these State of the Union numbers from a point of view of who is more likely to engage, right now you would say people that aren't going to support Republicans in November are going to engage. And that would be a very fair assessment of what that might mean. As far as like all presidents except for Biden's State of the Union in 2022 that was delayed by COVID, that viewership went up. And Bush's State of the Union after 9/11 saw a jump in viewership. So as is the pattern, after presidents give their first State of the Union or second-term presidents, they see a decline in numbers. That's normal. What isn't normal is, in this environment, is to see Fox News shed millions of viewers. That's not normal. If anything, you would expect the pool of viewers to become smaller overall, but a larger percentage of those viewers to go to Fox. You wouldn't expect the pool of viewers to become smaller overall and a larger percentage of those viewers to go, let's say, to some of the broadcast networks, CNN and MSNBC. That tells me that Trump may have a bigger problem with his base or people that supported him previously or watch Fox News than has been able to be acknowledged in polling, or that maybe the reporting is talking about. That there's something there. And I do think that Trump fatigue across the country is very, very real. And I think that Trump fatigue within the Republican Party, especially from talking to Republicans are tired of Trump, man. It's been Trump for them nonstop for 3 straight presidential election cycles, and he hasn't gone away since for 11 years already, and they still have 3 more years to go. So yeah, they want something new and fresh, and Trump is stale, and that's a big part of it. There's no other way around it. Trump is stale. Trump is he seemed tired. And by the way, some of the analysts made a big deal out of how Trump started out his speech really with a fast tempo and talking, and it slowed down as he went along. Well, he's 80 years old. How do you expect an 80-year-old to stand up there and speak for an hour and 45 minutes and maintain the same stamina, pace, and position? I hate to tell you all this, but Donald Trump's old, and he's not going to get any younger. And so in the future, these addresses are probably going to get even longer. They're probably going to ramble more, and more people are going to tune them out. These numbers. If you're a Republican and you're looking at these numbers and you're hoping that Donald Trump is going to come to your district or come to your state and save your race for you, you're probably maybe worrying about that a bit, or second guessing and being like, well, I don't know if I want this guy here. This guy's losing ground. This guy's quicksand. Do I really want to fall into that with him? I mean, that would be logical, but Republicans in general are so worried about losing their base that and annoying Trump in any way and having that cost them votes, that they'll still drag him into districts and states, but the odds are that it's not going to help, and it may very well hurt. So, especially at a time when people are concerned about affordability, and the president spent 2 minutes talking about affordability in the whole speech. You don't want to bring Trump to your district and have him tell your voters that everything is just fine, when roughly almost 70% of voters are telling us something different in the polls. They're experiencing life a very different way. Okay, I think that's about a wrap here. Whenever the full numbers come out with streaming, we can do a follow-up. I'll do a follow-up video. I'll show you more about those numbers, and we'll talk about them and what it means. I'm Jason Easley. I write for Politicus USA and The Daily with Sarah Jones, both available on Substack. Please, if you haven't done so, like and follow us on YouTube at Politicus USA. That's that way you'll get notifications on all these posts, everything we post, all the news updates, everything else. Like and follow us, Facebook, Politicus USA. Like and follow us on X, Politicus USA, or Sarah's account, Politicus Sarah, on X. Instagram, Politicus USA. TikTok, Politicus USA. Post over there too. Until next time, stay together and stay strong.